Hello and welcome to Saturday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, and today we'd like to dedicate this edition to Frederick, one of our viewers who tragically took his own life at the age of 16 recently. To his mother Chloe, we have no words, and to everyone else, give your loved ones a hug tonight and make use of the time that we have on this blue orb. And I'll read a passage that struck a chord with me, that was written by a man called John B. McLemore at the end of the video. Now, let me talk about today's puzzle. Perhaps that's the best thing to do. I think that's something that Frederick would have approved of. Today we've got a puzzle called Lattice for you, and it's by a constructor by the name of pieguy. And pieguy is a new constructor to me. I've not heard of pieguy before. The only way I've heard of pieguy is through numerous recommendations we've been receiving to try tonight's puzzle, which is just a normal killer sudoku. And the words that have been used to describe this have included masterpiece and words like that. Apparently this is an absolute stunner. I don't know why it's called Lattice though. It doesn't look very lattice-like to me. I can see lots of big 35 cages, but we'll have a look at this in a moment or two. I'd like to shout out Tegan. Tegan, you wrote us a lovely email which we got this morning, and it brightened our day, so thanks very much for sharing that with us. And I'd also like to say a very happy birthday indeed to Cedric over there in Quebec, Canada. Cedric, your dad Steve wrote and said that you watch the channel and that you'd like a birthday shout out, which I'm very happy to do. And I hope that you have a brilliant day today with, of course, lots and lots of cake. And I apologise for my voice as well. I have got a cold. It's dropped probably an octave or so. And I'm just hoping it doesn't give out in the course of this video. By the way, I've got no idea how hard this puzzle is. I couldn't look on Logic Masters Germany because I don't think it exists there. I think it's just been published on the Cracking the Cryptic fan Discord server, which I'd exhort you all, or encourage you all anyway, to join if you haven't joined it already. It's the biggest puzzle community on Earth. There cannot be any doubt about that. I think it's some 30,000 strong or something like that at the moment. And if you're a patron of the channel, by the way, some patrons don't know this, but there is a patron exclusive channel on the Discord server where lots of hints and tips get shared about the monthly rewards. So we've had many people saying thanks very much to people like Fool on Hill who live over in the fan Discord, in the Patreon server there, and help other patrons to solve the whole of the hunts. So I've got some names for you for people who've managed to solve the whole of Jay Dyer's hunt, which was January's monthly reward. So well done to Charles Thomas, Jim Ferry, Paul Wright, Fabian Schulze, Eduardo David, Vincent Kwok, Thaddeus Wenger, John Forsyth, Thomas Sylvester, Joseph Duncan, Ozzy Carl, Brendan Wright, Marit Watery, Martin Chargott, Frank Noom, Manuela Tempestini, Ed Caird, Akash Kansal, Masterder, Offrey Zachman, and Mark Tattersall. You all sent in the correct entries. Well done indeed. Now, let me read you the rules of Lattice by pieguy, and we will see what we've got to cope with today. We've got normal Sudoku rules apply. In cages, digits must sum to the small clue in the top left corner of the cage, and digits cannot repeat within a cage. So this group of cells here contains digits that sum to 35, and what we cannot do is say put 2 9s there, because although these 9s don't seem to disobey the rules of Sudoku, they're not in the same row, they're not in the same column, and they're not in the same 3x3 box. They are in the same cage, and that is not allowed. So don't do that, or you'll get into trouble. Do have a go at the puzzle. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. Now I get to play. Let's get cracking. Now, let's get cracking. What am I seeing here? The first thing I'm seeing here, I want to use these, well, this 9 cage and this 9 cage and that 9 cage. They seem to be almost nested into the 35 cages, don't they? So it feels to me like the digit 1 is trying to be important. Because of the secret, actually. Now, the secret is something I only tell my favourite people, but if you are watching this video, of course you're one of those people. And the secret is that any complete box of a sudoku, whoops, not 10 cells, any complete box, any complete row, any complete column, will contain the digits 1 to 9 once each. And if you add up the digits 1 to 9, you get 45. So, if all of those digits there were different digits, they would be, oh, hang on, they can't be different. Oh, is that the point? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right. They can't all be different. That's what I hadn't realised this. In my brain, I'd managed to sum that to 8 cells. And 8 cells, I thought, oh, well, 35 plus 9 is 44. So I was wondering what happens if there wasn't a 1 in those cells. But in fact, now we're learning something different. Because if there was no repeated digit in those 9 cells, then we know they ought to sum to 45, and they expressly don't. 35 plus 9 is 44. So there is a repeated digit. So how could there be a repeated digit, given we know that that collection of digits there doesn't have a repeated digit in it? Well, something in the 9 cage must repeat in the 35 cage, at least 1. Well, exactly 1. Exactly 1, right. So this digit here is in the 9 cage. We can state that for certainty. Because there must be a repeated digit, or these 9 digits would sum to 45, and they don't. And the only place a digit in this domino can repeat in the 35 cage by the power of Sudoku is in that cell there. These 2 cells here. Obviously, well, those 3 cells see whichever one of these is repeated here, and these 3 cells see whichever one of these is repeated here. And we can't have more than 1 repeated digit in the 35 cage and the 9 cage, because this cell is only 1 cell large, and it's the only cell that can repeat. So that digit goes down there. And we're going to get the same there. So are the repeated digits? Oh no, okay, and there's no, well, the problem is, I was wondering if I was going to be able to prove that that digit, which must repeat here, obviously that can't be the same as purple. And it looks like the same is going on there, look. But I see the repeated digit here could be purple, couldn't it? Okay. That would create an X-wing on the... So if that digit must repeat in this 9 cage for exactly the same reason as over there. So if these 2 digits were the same digit, they would go in there, and that would mean that the 2 digits of these 2 repeated digits, if they were the same, would then have to go in one of those 3 cells. Sorry, I think I'm talking absolute gibberish. Well, I'm not talking gibberish. I am speaking English, and what I'm saying is true, but what I don't feel like it's doing is getting me very far in terms of solving the puzzle. Right, sorry. Right, let's do something different. Let's try, instead of that, it's going to be something to do with... Right, let's try... Right, there is a virtual 10 cage there. I can tell you that for nothing. So maybe that's what we're meant to focus on. Yeah, well, I don't know, but I can see that this domino has to contain digits that sum to 10. And that's because, again, if we know those cells are all different, and they add to 35, well, can either of those digits appear in this 35 cage? Well, no, they can't, by sudoku. So these two digits here are two digits that are not in those seven digits there. So this is like an extra region. That shape there is an extra region in this sudoku. It must contain the digits 1 to 9 once each, and therefore we know that these two green digits have to sum to 10 because we know that all 9 digits sum to 45 and this lot sum to 35. So that domino sums to 10 now. Right, I see. Okay, so again, if we come down here to this 35 cage, that domino sums to 10. And the interesting thing there is that that domino is definitely not the same as this domino. Because obviously if that was, say, a 1-9 pair, this could not be a 1-9 pair. So these dominoes are different. And then this one, is not, well, it's definitely not purple, and it's definitely one of these virtual 10 cages because it's in a relationship. Again, that's forming an extra region. This is forming an extra region. Now, why can't that be green is the question I'm wondering. Because what I feel like is going to happen here is that these dominoes are all going to be different. That's what I feel like. That's what I feel like pieguy is trying to tell me here. But he might be trying to tell me, maybe he's trying to tell me these are the same, although that feels a much weaker conclusion. If these were the same, what would that tell me about anything? It would tell me these were the same. I don't know. Sorry, I feel like I've lost all my train of thought today after that introduction. I think that may not be it either, I'm afraid. I've got roping here, well, and therefore in all 35 cages, which could possibly be... What do I mean by roping? Well, those 3 digits there have to appear somewhere in box 9, and we know that they can't repeat in that cage, and they can't repeat in their own column, so these 3 digits end up over here, and this creates what we call in the trade a roping pattern, because by sudoku now, obviously those green digits end up there in box 3, but now we should ask where those 3 digits end up in the world of sudoku. Now these 3 digits are clearly not the same as green, so in this box they can only go there, and therefore they can only go there by sudoku, which means these are all the same set of digits. Now I've got to pick the right colour here. I might pick orange. That's a fairly unpleasant mixture, isn't it? So it stands out. Now, how has that helped me? That's helped me because... Actually, it doesn't help me very much at all. I'm just not getting this. I've tried 3 things and none of them work at all. I mean, I can obviously see, but the problem is that the roping with this 35 cage goes horizontally, so those 3 cells are the same as those 3 are the same as those 3. So I have got roping in rows 1, 2 and 3, and presumably I've got roping in rows 7, 8 and 9, and in columns 1, 2 and 3 using this 35 gauge. But the problem is that if we just study the ropes here, I don't think that they're actually... Well, I can't see what they're doing. And I can't see how... Let me just check. I'm just going to check we've got nothing obvious. Those three are the same. I'm going to use a different colour set. This is going to be horrific to try and visualise. Those, and those are the same. These, and these are the same. There we go. Now, what does all that mean? So, what we can say is... Oh, okay. Maybe I forget. I might now completely abandon that as well. Because I have just noticed something. That digit is... Well, sorry, and I realise I'm not even completing sentences now. This doesn't feel like a very successful solve. But that digit is one of those two digits, is what I want to say. Because I know that those two digits add up to 10 from the virtual 9 cage that we know, or the virtual 45 cage we know exists there. Now, by roping, these two blue digits seem to end up in those 3 cells. But these add up to 10, so we can't put them in those two. Because these 2 cells add up to 9, which means one of those 2 digits ends up there. So I don't actually think that's doing anything either. They then end up over here, where one of them of the blue digits ends up here. Is that one? That's what I'm thinking. That, right. I almost feel like I want to use some sort of symbology in order to help me here. I'm going to use a symbol. Let's use letters. So those 2 cells, let's just, we'll make those A. These digits add up to 10. Now, that digit we know is A now, isn't it? And we know these 2 cells add up to 10. I'm going to make those B. Now, right, because imagine that was a 1-9 pair. This could be, say, a 2-8 pair. It cannot be a 1-9 pair. So these digits are different from these digits. But one of the blue digits is this digit. So it must be that one. So that's B. That's quite interesting. So right, okay, that is quite interesting, isn't it? So now we can define this 9 cage in terms of A and B. Because that's B, by roping B must be in those 3, and it's not that one. So this is a BA pair. Actually, maybe we go to central pencil marking for that. That's an AB pair. And that's a B pair. And that... No, it's not. It's that, isn't it? So this is where it's going to get complicated. So, okay, so these 2 cells are A by the power of blueliness. Because blue is definitely transposing up here, and we know this digit is not A. So these 2 must be A, which means that purple and red. So red, which is one of these digits, has an A. Purple is one of these, has an A. Ah, that's it. Ah, right. Here we go. Here we go. Yeah, this is fine, isn't it? In fact, maybe this is obvious and I'm being really slow. Those two digits cannot be A. So that we know these two digits add up to 10 because of this virtual cage. Now, how could these be the same as these is the question I want to ask. And the answer is they can't be, because that digit, which I know is an A digit from down here, goes in purple in box 1. It does therefore not go in grey or red. So this is not A, and it's also not B, because imagine that was 2,8. This can't be 2,8 because that cell would be neither. So this is C. This is the third version of 10 caging. Now, so that's right. So now B, which is a grey digit, but not able to be the same as C, goes in those two cells by Sudoku. But that digit is C, and that must be a grey digit, so that digit is C. This is weird, isn't it? So actually I've managed to get a T-pentomino of digits sort of allocated to box 3 now. Now, this is rotationally symmetrical, this grid. So surely every piece of logic that I've just applied to A down there, I could equally have started with B and propagated to C and therefore D down there. There's no way. What I'm trying to say here is, yes, it's fine. It's fine. Every piece of logic I applied to A in proving that C was not equal to A must be valid for proving that B is not the same as that domino there. Because it's exactly the same questions that we should have been asking, because it's just a rotation. If we rotate the grid, these 35 cages just map to each other. Hopefully you can see that. If you imagine you twist the grid through a quarter turn, this 35 cage would just end up here. So all of the logic that we did down here, which managed to prove that C and A were different, must apply to B and this domino. This is not B. But if this domino is not B, it's clearly not C and it's clearly not A. So it is D. It is the only other way of making two digits add up to 10 in Sudoku. There are 4 ways: 1, 9, 2, 8, 3, 7, and 4, 6. So these are. So my first instinct, which was, how do we prove that the dominoes that sort of accompany these 35 cages are all different, was correct, but it just took some unscrambling. How do we prove they're all different? We did manage to do it once we unscrambled to the max. But what I'm nervous about now is that, do I have to continue this roping down, or can I sort of extrapolate this somehow? Okay, that digit is B. It's one of the flavours of B that exists by Sudoku, because you can't put double B in here because we know double B adds up to 10. So B goes there the way A went here. So these two digits are, C is one of them, whatever that digit is goes in here, and B is the other. So that is a BC pair. Now, I want to say that I ought to therefore be able to identify this cell, because I was able to get that cell and that cell, so I ought to be able to get this cell. Is that cell a D cell, is it? it is by roping, of course. Yes, I haven't got the colours in, that's why I'm struggling to see it. But if I did rope these columns, boom, would go there, would go there. So that's one set of ropes. That would go there, that would go there, that would go there. So yes, so these 3 digits down at the bottom of column 1 must include double C. And we know that C is not the same as a D digit, so those are double C. And then, having done that, because we know we've got roping, that becomes a D. So we must have, so we've got CCD. So this is CCD, but we know it's not double C in here, so that becomes a C. This becomes a DC. This is absolutely mad. Oh, so now I've got AB and CD. And BC. Have I broken this actually? Hang on a minute. Why have I got the same? No, it's fine. It's fine. I'm being slow. No, it's fine. I was suddenly worried that I had 2 B's. 2 B's in these 2 cages, and I was like, well, okay, but how could A and C be different then? But of course, these B's are not the same number because B has 2 personalities, so imagine this was, what's this? It's adding up to 10, isn't it? If that's 2, 8, for example, that could be 2, 7, and then that could be 8, 1, because we would put a different B in here to what we put in here, and that allows the accompanying digits, which we know must be different because we know that C is a different collection of digits to A. But that, so by allocating one B here and the other B here, we're able to make sure that A and C stay being different. Now, but I haven't achieved. Right, so I've got to rope the bottom in order to. I think this is a double D pair. Let's try and prove that. So this, and this would be one rope. That, and that. Which means this, and this is a roping of the bottom 3 rows. So double D have to go into those squares in, whoopsie, oh, I spelled dad. That's rather nice. Oh, in fact, that reminds me. I need to shout out my sister today. I'm so sorry. With that introduction, I got completely discombobulated. My sister Hannah, who unfortunately has fallen over and cracked a vertebrae, which sounds incredibly painful. But Hannah, I hope you get well soon. Yeah, and don't fall over anymore. It's not a good idea. Yeah, so I've got my dad who's just had a new knee, my sister who's fallen over and broken a vertebrae. And yeah, it's all go. So I've got sheep noise here, bar. I've got dad. I've got BBC. Yeah, okay. So let me just think. I should be able to get this digit, shouldn't I? Because I've got these T pentominoes in each box. So I feel like yes, by roping that must be an A, of course. Because we know that is the same collection of digits as this. So this is a dad collection. How am I going to show that? Because if I type the D again, I knew it was going to disappear. Okay, we'll put a sideways D. So we've got a sort of we've got a skew if dad here. Right. Now, I'm hoping that all of this is going to have been in some way useful. Ow! Bah! Yes, that's exactly a correct expression. Bah! Bah! Bobbins. ABBA. One of the great groups of all time. There, I've said it. And ABBA up there. ABBA. So each of these 9 cages is a different flavour of 9 cage. And there are 4, right, so we've got 4 different ways so we've got the 4 ways of making 10 cages, which are 1, 1, 9, 2, 8, 3, 7, 4, 6, and that's what these, Oh, okay. Wow, okay, so this puzzle is about 5s. It's either about 5s or 9s. Because 9, I've just hadn't suddenly had the thought, I can't put one of these dominoes is a 1-9 pair. Now, whichever one is a 1-9 pair, when you transport it into a 9 cage, obviously that you can't put 9 in a 9 cage without the other digit being a 0, and that's not a valid Sudoku digit. So it might be about 9s, but it might also be about 5s, because none of these cells is able to be a 5. So that I want to say that must mean that none of these can be a 4-5 pair. That must be right. No, that is right. That is, of course, that's right. Yeah, none of these can be a 4-5 pair because because 5 would have to be ascribed to an A, B, C, or D digit in order for one of these to be a 4-5 pair, and none of these can be a 5. Right. So there are no 4s and no 5s in these cells. Oh, does that mean the 4-6 pairs under pressure? I'm now wondering whether well, one of these has to be 4-6. But whichever one is 4-6, when it transports... Oh, yeah, okay. So imagine that was 4-6. Then we would know... Because you couldn't make this 4-5, because if you made this 4-5, that would have to be double 5, because it would contain a 5. You'd have to put the 4 here, and the 6 would have to go in the 9 cage. But what would happen if, on the other hand, if the double D... If double D was 1-9, or, well, 1-9 and 4-6 are the troubling ones, I think. But then there's... Because the thing is there is no 9 cage that we need to dodge with the naughty digits. Sorry, and I realise this is very inarticulate. I just feel there's something, I want to say clever. It's incredibly clever, this, by the way, already. And I have no idea what's going on. But it feels to me like there is an issue. If any of these are 4-6... If any of these 3 are 4-6, you have to put a 4 into one of those 3. Well, I was about to say that can't be a 4. Of course, it can be a 4. That can be a 9. You have to put a 4 in one of those 3 positions, which would mean that cell couldn't be a 4 because that sees all 3 of those positions. Let me just think about that again in the context of 1-9s. If this is a 1-9, then this is a 1-8, because we can't put the 9 in the 9 cage. So if that's 1-9 that becomes 1, 8. Which means the C digit there, 1, 9, the C digit is the 8, so that becomes 2, 8. If that's 2, 8, and this was 1, 8, then that must not be 1, 8, that must be 2, 7. Which means that's 3, 7. That's 3, 7. This lot of digits includes 3, 7. And A, whatever A is. No, this is tricky, isn't it? It's very tricky. There's some sort of thing going on. I can't see how to do it. Is it the 13 cage? The 13 cage here, this digit A, that's got to be at least a 4. So if this was not, okay, let's try this. If this was not 4, 6, if A is not 4, 6, then we know that the low digit in this domino that sums to 10, so the low digit's going to be, if it was a 1, 9, it would be the 1. If it was 2, 8, it would be the 2. Well, no, the better way to look at it is what's the high digit. The low digit couldn't go there, because if this is a 1, 2, or a 3, that's too big. So this has to be a high digit. So if this is not 4, 6, if this is not 4, 6, that digit is a 7, 8, or a 9. And the A digit that goes in the 9 cage is a 1, 2, or a 3. This is foolish, isn't it? This is going to be too complicated. This digit is a 1, 2, or a 3, which is going to accompany a 6, 7, or an 8. I'm so sorry about this. I'm just not seeing how to restrict this at all. 1, 9. If you don't mind, I'm just going to have a look at what 1, 9 does in this column, because I can definitely see that the 1 cannot go here. So this would be a 9. This would be a 1, 8 pair. Let's just put it in 1, 8 pair. Now, one of those digits is the B digit. Now it can't be the 1, because that would make this B pair 1, 9. So this is going to be 2, 8. And therefore B down here so if that was 2, 8, this collection of digits here, which is very different from the AB collection, so it's not allowed to be 1, 8 again, because if it's 1, 8 again, we are saying that A and C are the same dominoes, which we've proved is not correct. So this has to be 2, 7, I want to say. So we're taking the 2 from here as the B digit. So that becomes 2, 7. This becomes 8. Because it's the other B digit, which is the one that's lent in here. And now the C digit is a 7, so that becomes 3, 7. This is what I did before, isn't it? It feels like I've done this already. So that becomes 3, 7. That can't be 2, 7, so that has to be 3, 6. Which means that has to be 4, 6. And this becomes a 4, 6 pair, which 4 couldn't go in there. It couldn't go in the 8 cage. And 1 of 1 and 9. If the 9, if that was a 9 in here, that couldn't go here either. That would be a 4. No, sorry, that's not helped me at all. That has not helped me at all. If we go 2, 8 here, is it any different at all? I don't think it's going to be, but I'm going to check. If that's 2, 8, that then has to be the 8, because it can't be the 2. So that becomes a 5, which is one of the digits I'm sort of interested in. It could be that I just have to focus on 5s. I'm just going to run through this, then I'm going to have a look at 5s instead. So this is now 2, 7 for sure, because the 2 gets lent in here, which means that becomes 3, 7. Which means this is not able to be 2, 7, so that becomes 3, 6. Ah, I've got a problem now. Houston, we have a problem. That can't be... Oh, is that it? Well, no. Ooh, that's tricky. Wow. Right. The problem here is that what do I make this? Because I can't... It's now got to be 4, 6, but it can't be 4, 6 because there's nothing I can put here now that's going to help me. I can't put the 6 in here because it will be 3, 6, and that's saying that BC is the same as CD, which it's not. To say such a thing would be so ludicrous. But if I put the 4 in here, that's a 4, 5, and that's telling us that D is a double 5 pair, which it most certainly is not. That's weird. So in fact, this is, well, this is useful in the sense that I think I've been unlucky. So I tried 1, 9 here first, and that worked. 2, 8 is not working. So there is a problem as the 3, 7 transfers itself into a 4, 6. So when I did, oh, I see. So when I did 1, 9 at the start, the 4, 6 was shielded from all of the nasty events that occur in 9 cages, because by making this 1, 9, I make that 4, 6, and that transfers here where it's not subject to the 9 restriction. So this is, I want to say, and I might be wrong about this, I want to say that this domino can only be 1, 9 or 4, 6 because whenever you get the middle of the cycle involving 3s and 7s up here, I think you have a problem. But let me try and right. So we're happy that this is not 2, 8. Let's just. I don't think 3, 7 is going to work for exactly the same reason. Let's try and prove that to ourselves. If that's 3, 7, this has to be the 3. We're going to put 2, 7 in here. Let's do it slowly. That's 2, 7. So now we know this is not 3, 7, so this is 2, 8. This becomes 8, 1. This becomes 1, 9, and now I've got nothing I can put in here. That's so weird. That is so weird. I actually didn't think that was going to unwind like that either, so that the way I've understood this in my brain is slightly inaccurate still. I can't quite get my head around it. I mean, it's clearly not right to have 3, 7 here. 3, 7 forces this to be 2, 7, forces this to be 2, 8. That then has to not be 2, 7 because that would repeat this. So this becomes 1, 8. That becomes 1, 9. This can't have 9 in it. So the 9 shifts down here. It has to be 1, 8. And then you're saying CD is the same as BC, which it's not. So this, okay. Well, that's good news in a way. So this, we now need to check what happens if we make this 4, 6. Now, if we make this 4, 6, we obviously can't put the 4 in here because that's going to say B is a double 5. So the 4 goes here. This becomes 6, 3. This becomes 3, 7. This becomes 7, 2. Whoopsie, not 8, 2. We've got to get this right. That becomes 7, 2. This becomes 2, 8. Yeah, now you've got the 8, 1. You've got the valve of the 8, 1 to release the pressure on the system, and that becomes 1, 9. So my instinct was right, but for the wrong reason. The only thing, this little domino at the bottom of column 8 is the key. Well, it's not necessarily the key, but it can only be 1, 9 or 4, 6. And that it's all to do with how these digits flow, or how these digits create difficult 9 combinations. And you can absolutely, I think, see that if there was a 9 cage, imagine there was a 9 cage here, a 2-cell 9 cage, and we're trying to put digits in here which are selectable from 1, 9 and 4, 6. Well, the problem is you're always going to get that then the only valid 9 cage you could make in a domino down here, let's give it its own colour to reward it for being clever. The only valid 9, because you couldn't put 9 in it and you couldn't put 4 in it because that would require a 4, 5 9 cage or a 9, 0 cage. The only 9 cage you could make down here would be 1, 8, which is axiomatically going to repeat this thing, or 3, 6, which is going to repeat that thing. And 1, 8 and 3, 6 always appear in the cycle somewhere along with because we know that none of these can be 4, 5. So it's starting to crystallize. So we know the 3 things we're dealing with are 1, 8s, 2, 7s and 3, 6s. And we must arrange the cycle such that we never get 4, 5s or 9, 0s. So this is very, very interesting to me. I don't know how you come up with this. How do you come up with this as your first puzzle, pieguy? I mean, if this was Totally Normal Cat, or, Jesper Josephson, or, I don't know, Tall Cat, Zeta Math, Fistabafel, you'd be like, oh yeah, this is mind-blowing, and that's totally expected because these people blow your mind. But if you've not made a puzzle before, how do you have this as your sort of base benchmark idea? Right, so we've proved that this can be 4, 6 or 1, 9. Let me put that in. I've still got letters on the right, which is, oopsie. Okay, this is 4, 6 or 1, 9. Which means this is always either 3, 6 or 1, 8, depending on what we start with here. Which means this is always, let's imagine we've gone with 4, 6, so that's become 6, 3, so that would become 3, 7. If this was 1, 9, this would be 1, 8, and that would be 2, 8. Okay, let's highlight both of them so we get both options in. So if this was 3, 7, that's been caused by this being 3, 6. So this would be 2, 7. If this is 2, 8, that's being caused by this being 1, 8. 2, 8. So that's all right. So this is always 2, 7. Yeah, okay, because it's the middle of the cycle. That sort of makes sense to me. That's always 2, 7. And that must mean I don't know. I'm not quite sure. I'm not sure I'm confident enough to say exactly what that means. So 4, 6 goes into 3, 4, 6 here, goes into 3, 6 here, 4, 6 goes into 3, 6, goes into 3, 7, goes into 2, 7, goes into 2, 8 up here. I think I'm going to get rid of my I've still got it on letter tool, that's why I'm not able to use clicking over here. So this would become 2, 8. This would become 1, 8 in that instance because that's the 2, 7. So that becomes 1, 8. and then this becomes 1, 9. So that's if the cycle starts with 4, 6. Now let's start the cycle with 1, 9. Then we know this is 1, 8. We know that's 2, 8. We know that's 2, 7. We know that's 3, 7. We know that's 3, 6. And we know that that is 4, 6. So we have sort of managed to do some stuff here. Yeah. Now what? So I want to say we now know the nature of dad. Dad is either this digit here, which is in an 8 cage, is a dad digit. Now, a dad digit is a digit that's 1, 4, 6 or 9. Now, 4 cannot go in that cell because that would be a 4. 9 can't go in that cell because that would be a -1. So the dad digit here is 6 or 1. Which means that digit is 2 or 7 and makes a pair in the column. So this 9 cage is not 2, 7. Oh my god. Oh, good grief. Wow. Wow. Right. Okay. So that is a 4, 5 cage. Is that... No, it's not going to give me a digit, I don't think. Oh. No, I'm not sure if it gives me a digit or not, but it definitely does some magic. Right, so let's consider these 2 cages for a moment. Now, remember they're in a cycle, so they're different, obviously. So if this was 1, 8, that was 3, 6 on the cycle, and if this was 3, 6, that was 1, 8. So this, what I should have appreciated is this horizontal 9 cage here, let's make it yellow, is never able to be 1, 8 or 3, 6. The moment we got these pencil marks, I could have realised that. We've just proved it can't be 2, 7. So there's only one version of 9 cage left. That is the other version of 9 cage. That is 4, 5. Now, I'm looking at this 7 cage, which is not 5, 2 or 3, 4, so it's 1, 6. Which means this is not 1, 6. So this is 3, 8, which means these are 1, 6. What's that digit then? Do we know what that digit is? If this was 1, 9, we know that's not 9 anymore. Aha! Yes, yes, okay, right. So the question we should ask now is, what's this digit? I think. Because if this was a 1, 9 pair, what would we put into this cell? We couldn't put the 1 in, because that would be a 12. Now if we put the 9 in, that would be a 4, and it's going to clash with my 4, 5 pair. So this is not 1, 9, this is 4, 6, that's 1, 9, and now we can disambiguate this. If this is 4, 6, we don't put 4 in the 9 cage, we put 6 in the 9 cage, and we know the order. The 6 has to be the lower digit because of the 1, 6. Oh, this is sick. Absolutely ridiculous stuff, this is. That's 1, that's 8 by Sudoku. Now when we get a 3, 6 pair here, we know that we've got 4, 6, so this is 3, 7. That's what we know for sure now. If that's 3, 7, that's 2, 8. If that's 2, 8, C, which is a 2 digit, has to go there by the power of pure magic, which gives me a 7, which gives me a 2 and a 7. My phone is buzzing. Don't know what that means. Not going to obsess about that. Going to try to finish puzzle. Okay. Right, that's a 4, isn't it? Because we need to put an A digit there. So that's 4, that's 9. That's a 7, that's in an 8 cage, so that becomes a 1. So, and we know, okay, we know this was dad, don't we? So it was double D. Double D the D digit is 1, 9. So there is a 9 in one of those. We can place it. That's got to be the 9. This is an A digit, which is a 4 or a 6. I don't know if we know which one of those it is, but let's delete all this, put 4, 6 in. That 1 gives me a 1 here and a 6 here, which doesn't get me my 4 or 6. Okay. We've got roping in blue. So that digit's a 3. So that digit's a 3, that digit's a 7. This is a 4, 6 pair. I suppose. Hang on. I know I've got roping. Yeah, okay, that's a 4 or a 6, isn't it, by roping? Because we know those digits are the same as those digits. This is really confusing. This is a 1, 9 pair, because we know they're the double D digits. I think I should be able to do this all the way around. We know that's a 1 or a 9 by roping. C was a 2, 8 pair, so we can put those in. So have we, no, we haven't allocated these 2 digits yet. This is a C, which is a 2 or an 8. This is a B, which I think was a 3 or a 7. That would make that a 3. That would be quite handy, actually. Yeah, because the grey digits transpose up there. So these were the B digits. Let's just delete that for a moment. Yeah, they were the B digits. So that's 7, that's 3. That's a B digit that's not 7, so it is 3. This is a 3, 7 pair. 3 in the middle box is now there, I think, by sudoku. 8's there. 2 is here. Good grief. Good grief, this is clever. 8, right, this is 8, 1, 2. Remember, we've got roping everywhere. We've also got the bones of the Fistemfell ring. I wonder, was that what I was meant to do? Oh no! Oh no! How was I meant to spot that if that's relevant? I don't know. That's a mind-blowing thought. I've got no idea. I mean, I'm just worried that, look, I've got the sort of outline of a Fistemfell ring there, with digits appearing in these cells. It's very redolent of the ring. I don't know how I was meant to spot that, if indeed I was. But I've got an 812 here, which we know transports here. So this square's got to be a 1 by roping. That's a 1. That's 9. So 9 we know makes an appearance over here. One of those squares. One of those squares. Is that useful? Quite possibly. Don't know. 3, 6, 4. So that's 3, 6, 4. That's 3, 6, 4. 3, 2, 7. Right, that's useful. That's got to be the 2 then. Using the power of roping again. That's got to be a 2. That's got to be an 8. 8 is in one of these 2 cells. 8 is in one of these 2 cells. Have I used up all of my clever ideas? Quite probably. And I'm not quite sure that they deserve the moniker of clever. Oh, 2 and 8 in that row. Where do they go by sudoku? Those 2 cells is the answer to that. One of which is green. So, oh no, okay. I don't know which one of these is 2, 8. One of these is 2, 8. Oh. Don't think I know which one that is either. Okay, what about 9? Right, okay, where does 9 go in that row? There, apparently, by the power of sudoku. That's got to be a 7 by the power of sudoku. 7 can't repeat in its own cage. That 7 sees that square, so that's 3, that's 7. 7 is in a domino down here. 3, yeah, see, the roping is all over the place. 3 can't repeat in its own cage, can't go there by sudoku, so this is a 3. 4, 6 in this box can be placed, that's a 6 using the power of this 6. This is a 4, 5 pair, which mirrors here, look. Those 2 digits are a 1 and a something. A 1 and a 5. These two digits are a 9 and a 7. And that 7 is useful. Okay, so that's 7. That's 9. Okay, and yeah, and then using that cage has a 9 in it already. So that's a 1. That's a 9. So this can't have another 1 in it. So that's a 5. That's a 1. There's got to be a 5 down here now by the power of rope. There's got to be a 7 down here by the power of roping. Okie dokie. And these squares down here are 3s. That's a 4 or a 5 because it can't be 3. So that's a 3. Not in the corner. I don't know if I've missed. No, I haven't. There are no 3s in the corner today. That's a 3 by the power of 3s. Oh, there's a cage down there I've not even looked at. I've not even looked at this cage. There's an 18 cage down at the bottom. Oh, actually, okay. The 18 cage can't have a 9 in it. It also can't have a 1 in it, can't have a 3 in it, and it can't have a 2 in it, I'm noticing. So what exactly can this be? So if it's got an 8 in it, which is probably... Okay, no, it doesn't have to have an 8 in it. It could be 765 and not have an 8 in it. Oh, that's beautiful, actually. That is absolutely beautiful. Right, this cage, what is its nature? And the question we need to ask is, does it have an 8 in it? If it has an 8 in it, the other two digits in the cage add up to 10, and they're not 1, 9, and they're not 3, 7, and they're not able to be 2, 8, so they'd have to be 4, 6, and that cell would be broken. So this doesn't have an 8 in it, which means there's only one way of making it work. It's 5, 6, 7. Okay, well that does at least mean this is a 5, I think, by Sudoku, so that becomes a 5. That becomes a 5. That becomes a 4. I'm not sure if we can do this 6, 7 pair. Well, I suppose what we can do is say that's a 4 now. So that's a 6. So that's become a 4. That's become a 5. That's become a 5. That's become a 4. There's probably all sorts of roping trickery we can do now. 3, 5, 9. So this is a 5, 9 pair. These two squares are a 4, 6 pair. So we've got a sort of remote 4, 6 pair along here, look. And that means, I don't know quite what that means. Let's have a look at that square. That's a 6 or a 7. But can we use the roping, which I've not even identified in what? So this is 149, that's 149. Oh yeah, look, that's got to be 149 by rope. Okay, now 5 we can actually see has got to be there. So hang on, there should be a 2 or an 8 in the 5 rope, shouldn't there, I think? Let's just double check this. That one, yeah. So that one is the same as that one. So actually it's easier to maybe focus on the 6. The 6 is going to have to go there because we need one. We need the rope to work. So that becomes a 7. That becomes a 6. This has got to be a 2 or an 8. 3 goes with 7. This is a 2 or an 8. I don't think I'm doing this in the most efficient way, but I'm enjoying it nonetheless. Oh, I've got a 2, 8 pair in this row. And a 2, 8 pair here. And I need to put 7. Oh, I see. I put 7 here by the power of, well, either roping or Sudoku. And it's joined by a 2 or an 8. So I get a 2, 8 pair out of nowhere in this column. And I've got to put 5s and 6s up there, which places the 8, look, in the rope with a 5. Oh, 5 or 6 crosses the options for those cells. All right, how do we do this to finish it off? What about saying, I might have to, I don't know if I'm going to have to colour things. Possibly. Oh, there's a 2 looking at that cell. Maybe not then. 8, 2. 8, 2, 2, 8. I've done the bottom. 2, 8, come on. 8 goes there by sudoku. So what do I need in this column? I need 5 and 9. Whoops, that's not doable, I don't think. But that digit should be a 1 by the power of sudoku. That is in the purple rope, so it's in one of those two squares, which is that one. This square is known. That is a 9, I think. Which is, oh, that's lovely. 9, 5, 5, 6. So that's become a 6. That's become a 4 in the red rope. So the only place 4 can go in the red rope, this side is there. That becomes 5. That becomes 9. That becomes a 6 in the corner. And that might be... Oh. Well, I have to say, well, that is absolutely staggering. That is your first puzzle, pieguy, is absolutely staggering. I mean, if it hadn't been your first puzzle, it would be one of the cleverest sudokus I've ever seen in my life, and that it is ludicrous. That is ludicrously accomplished. It's quite brilliant. I think it's quite difficult. I found it incredibly hard to understand what was going on at the start, and incredibly surprising that I could get a handle on how these sort of 10 dominoes worked with the 9 dominoes. It's weird. It's weird that the cycle only... Well, the absence of a 9 cage down here allows just enough. So it's very clever as well, the selection of cages in this middle box. I don't know how early you could foresee that you could do this magic with this 9 cage, especially. That is absolutely mad. It's madness. It's very, very beautiful as well. And I think our friend Frederick would approve. So that's enough. That's enough. It's enough sudoku solving today. We might have a quotation, if I can record that in a moment or two. Let me know in the comments how you got on with the puzzle. I enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind, and we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic. I have not lived a spectacular life, but within my 40+ years, I have had many more hours to pursue that which I chose, instead of moiling over that which I detested. I have coaxed many infirm clocks back to mellifluous life, studied projective geometry and built astrolabes, sundials, taught myself 19th century electroplating, bronzing, patination, micro-machining, horology, learned piano, read Poe, de Maupassant, Boccaccio, O'Connor, Welty, Hugo, Balzac, Kafka, Bataille, Gibran, as well as modern works by Mortimer, Hawking, Kunstler, Klein, Jacobi, Heinberg, Hedges, Hitchens and Rhodes. But the best times of my life, I realise, were the times I spent in the forest and field. I have walked in solitude beside my own babbling creek, and wondered at the undulations, meanderings and tiny atolls that were occasionally swept into its midst. I have spent time in idle palaver with violets, lyre-leaf, sage, heliopsis and monkshood, and marvelled at the mystery of Monotropa uniflora. I have audited the discourse of the hickories, oaks and pines, even when no wind was present. I have peregrinated the woods in winter, under the watchful guard of vigilant dogs, and spent hours entranced by the exquisiteness and delicacy of tiny mosses and moulds, entire forests within a few square inches. I have also run thrashing and flailing from yellow jackets. Before I could commence this discourse, I spent a few hours out under the night sky, reacquainting myself with the constellations like old friends. Sometimes I just spent hours playing my records. Sometimes I took my record players and CD players apart just to peek inside and admire the engineering of their incongruous entrails. Sometimes I watched Laverne and Shirley, or old movies, or Star Trek. Sometimes I sat in the dark and listened to the creaking of the old house. I have lived on this blue orb now for about 17,600 days, and And when I look around me and see the leaden dispiritedness that envelops so many persons, both young and old, I know that if I die tonight, my life has been inestimably better than that of most of my compatriots. I would hope that all persons reading this can enjoy some of the aspects of life that I have enjoyed, as well as those aspects that I never will, and will take cognizance of the number of waking days you have remaining, and use them prudently. John B. Macklemore, shortly before taking his own life at the age of 49.